Today I'm talking with the best photographer in the UFC card game, Joe from Joe's Card Stash. We talked about some of his favorite images that have ever been used on cards, how his views on collecting have changed over time, and his views on the most recent product releases. As always, I hope you enjoy this video. All right, I've got the best photographer in the UFC card game. He's in the studio right now too. How perfect is this? I'm here with Joe from Joe's Card Stash. What's up, man? Thanks for coming on.
No problem, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here. It's funny because I swear I've talked to you before, but it's just one of those things when you watch people on YouTube all the time, you're like, oh, dude, I know I've hung out with him, but I don't think we've
Yeah,
ever actually personally talked.
yeah, it's wild. Anytime I talk to one of you guys, one of the creators online, it's such a weird feeling. And
Hmm.
we communicate so much through Instagram and whatnot, just talking as friends about cards, about fights. So it's always fun to finally, meet up in person and get to talk a little bit. So once again, thank you so much for coming on the show. And you made a video a while back, and I thought it was one of the most important videos for cards. And it was about how to take a great photo of a card. And you're so good at it, and you have such beautiful pictures. And so it made me think, okay, Joe's coming on. What do I want to talk to him about? And immediately it was like I have to talk to him about some of his favorite photographs. What are some of his favorite cards? What's some of his favorite images? So Joe, do you want to kind of talk to us about what makes a great photo and maybe some examples of some of those things?
Definitely. It's funny when you ask that is something really true to what I like about all this stuff. You know, when I look at cards, I feel like you kind of do this too. You have a big design aspect, like you're always critiquing like the designs of cards and stuff like that. And a lot of times, like that's what I'm instantly looking at is like, oh, that photo's cropped weird, or why did they use that? Um, so when you mentioned that, I was like, oh, that's totally something I want to talk about. What's funny about that photography video I made? When I first made that, it was the lowest viewed video I had made. Like no one seemed interested. And I mean, there's a few people, but it didn't get anywhere near the numbers that I get from like
Mm,
opening boxes and stuff. But that one's been the slowest build. Like it just keeps going
nice,
up and up
good.
and up because I think people search it and look for things like
Yeah.
that. So it's a I feel like a lot of times those tutorial videos are like that. They can take off a life of their own as time goes on. But so yeah, damn. UFC card photography. Um, the things I think are important for me. I mean, starting off right away, like you have a sport that's one of the most dynamic and visual things that you can. I mean, hand to hand combat and martial arts, you have flying knees, you have the actual sport itself is really really interesting to photograph and look at. And then you have all the theatrics, you have the walkouts, and when someone knocks someone out, it's
Yeah, the
probably the most
celebrations.
exhilarating thing you could ever feel. So you
Hmm.
have the screaming and the celebrations and all that stuff. So you know for a while with Panini, it just felt like they were doing, the refs holding up the arm like on every other card. And I
Hmm.
was like, dude, you guys are just missing a huge opportunity here. So I got a little frustrated with that. I think Topps does do a better job. I have been really liking Topps's choices. But for me, it's really, it's dynamic action that I really like. I like anything that brings the personality of the fighter inside, like, whether it be something that they do on the way out or when they win, or, just something very specific to them. And I guess that's probably my favorite. And then, I like it when the photography is treated well in the design, give it a lot of
Hmm.
space, give it a lot of room to breathe. I do
Right.
find that card designers tend to overly crop in and overly design around photographs, whereas like there's certain sets where they let the card just be itself and it looks great. So
Hmm.
it's funny, I've thought about this, and I've looked at job postings and stuff like that, but being an editor for like Tops or something like that, like choosing
Yeah.
photos would be an amazing job. So I keep an eye out, and if anybody ever hears about that, that's something I would love to
Yeah.
do.
Perfect job for you, man. This might be a little in the weeds here, but like a lot of times when we see these photos, we see horizontal cards. Is there a specific reason why they're using that wide aspect ratio? Is it more difficult to get it on a vertical card? What are your thoughts on that?
That was something I was going to bring up, because Damien talks about it constantly, how he just
Yeah.
wants vertical cards,
Hmm.
and you have to understand. So vertical cards work well with individual people. When you have one person in a card, it works well with vertical, but hand-to-hand combat usually involves two people.
Hmm.
If you see someone throwing a punch or throwing a flying knee, you want to see the person they're hitting as well. So that ends up making a horizontal. It's just naturally makes horizontal. Fighting just makes horizontal photos for the most part, unless you really get straight on, where like the kick going right and you see the back
Mm.
of the other person's head. So you can make it work, but for the most part, UFC cards do look better with horizontal, photographs, which I get. It's not the greatest. They don't display well. PSA slabs look weird on the side, but it's just the way it is. I
Yeah.
think if you're really, sticking to your guns and you want vertical photographs, you're gonna not have very many photos to choose from because of that. Whereas other sports, basketball, very vertical. Baseball, even kind of in football, almost all of them are pretty much, as long as you don't have two people involved, you can
Right.
do a vertical photo. But it's the fact that you want both people in that makes it horizontal.
Okay, yeah, that's a great explanation. For some reason, I never really put that together.
Yeah,
Especially I guess the space in between two people also. So it's really like even a thirds type deal there, which is thanks for kind of breaking that down. Okay, viewers, I know y'all are ready for this. I asked Joe. I said, Joe, what are some of your favorite images of all time? And he went ahead and told me some of his favorite cards. So Joe, go ahead and take us through some of these, man. I'm excited to talk about these with you.
for sure. And these are completely. I started thinking about this today, and they're pretty much just the ones that I could come off the top of my head. So there's probably many, many more out there, and I'd love to hear what anybody else thinks. I'm pretty versed in the history of UFC cards as far as all the different sets, but I know people that have been collecting way longer than I have probably know about some card that has an amazing photo that I couldn't think of. But this set right here, I think this is, I'm pretty sure it's 2010 main event. And they did these cards called highlight reels. And these are the first cards where I thought the photography was really on point. As much as I love round one, it's the main set I collect.
Yeah.
They're not the greatest photos. They tend to be video grabs. It feels like I
Hmm.
don't even know how many of them are actually photos, and they're not done really well. They're not um, designed around really well. So this set I noticed, and I guess highlight reel was an insert set in this one. They're just incredible. So this John Jones photo, I mean,
Yeah, this is
you know,
sick.
I tend to be partial to striking just because I think striking is a little more dynamic. It's kind of hard to get cool grappling photos, but like as far as a grappling photo, my God, look at
Yeah,
that's incredible.
just the
Um,
suplex on Bonner.
dude, just straight, dude. Look, I mean, how is his body even doing that? So,
Yeah, man.
that was a big one. There's actually a whole bunch. Once you had me thinking about this, I might collect this set. I think the next photo. I'm pretty sure the next photo you showed me on, like, you talked about. Did you highlight this
Yeah,
card at some point? Yeah,
yeah. I had picked this up a while back and had a video on it. Hmm.
and
So
and
I
so I mean,
I completely agree.
yeah, and this photo is just incredible. I mean, I have noticed that I really like the standing over the downed opponent. Like,
Hmm. Yeah.
it's such a, like, the winner takes all. It's the very cool thing about hand-to-hand combat is, there's one definitive winner and one definitive loser, and this really, like, exemplifies that. And I don't know, who's he fighting there. Is that Forrest
That was
Griffin?
Griffin. Yeah, that was Forrest Griffin right here.
Damn,
Yeah,
that's a crazy one.
yeah.
um
That's a great point. And like like the one on one aspect of the sport, like it's mano a mano, and like well, I'm not gonna spoil it. I'm not gonna spoil it, so we'll move on to the next one.
so this one was, I did notice doing this too, like certain sets have really, really good photography, and
Hmm.
2018 is like that. I could have chosen a whole bunch of photos from this set, but I
Why
love
do you
flying knees.
why do you think that is? What's going on with with that.
Yeah, the design of 2018 really leaves a lot of room for the photos to kind of breathe, and it might have just been a really good editor that was there at that time period.
Mm,
I really don't know. I don't know the ins and outs of licensing, like how they can get certain photos and not get certain photos. That is something I'd really be fascinated to know. But it just seemed like this year there's so many good ones. I was gonna pick the Conor McGregor photo from this one where he's in that like,
oh yeah, yeah,
perfect like fighting
the karate,
stance.
yeah, yeah.
But I mean, we don't have to get into it. But to be honest, I'm fucking done with Conor McGregor. I'm just
I,
over
I
that guy. So I'm not giving him any shine whatsoever. And I
I
love
think a
Jose
lot of people
Aldo.
are.
I know people are defending him and stuff, and I'm like, this is the end of the line for me. I mean, I've watched him punch an old man in a bar. I mean, everything he's done, I'm just like, fuck this guy. I'm just done. So
Yeah, man.
I chose that photo, and then I chose this one because I do flying knees are one of my favorite martial arts, techniques. They're just so cool looking, and this one's two of my favorite fighters. You got
Mhm.
Jose and Max Holloway, and it's just like the way they framed it is just a dope card.
Yeah, this is to me, this is like a perfect example of an action shot, but on a vertical card. And I guess because they're so close, because the flying V is taking up that space, I guess it works better
Yeah,
as a vertical shot. All right, let's see what we got next here. Oh yeah, this one is sick.
I actually own this card. That was one. Like my collection basically includes just cards that I think have cool photos, even
Hmm.
though I'm not a big Francis collector, and this isn't his rookie card or anything like that, but what a photo. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, you're
what a
talking about like
moment too.
yeah, And and that again, this is where I think UFC has the opportunity to really just like capture these incredible moments. And that one just dude, look at that. I mean, freak
Hmm.
imagine getting punched like that, man. Like that looks like that would knock you into another dimension. Like,
Yeah, yeah. I don't want to think about that too hard. I might get a concussion
no.
here in the chair.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point about the moments you can capture within this sport because sometimes I'll look at other sports, football, basketball, and very rarely do you get just like an insane image on a card. It's you normally just people dribbling in the open court. You don't even know what game. You can't see any opponents, but like some
Yeah,
of the imagery we get is so good.
yeah. And what was I gonna say? Something to that point. Damn it, lost my train. Um, I mean, so basketball has dunking. Dunking can
Yeah.
can be very dynamic. That's one that really works. But the other sports, honestly, football should probably have better photos than they do. But with UFC, you know, I think of it a lot with the kabooms. Because everybody was so into kabooms, and every time they had a picture of a kaboom, it was like somebody going like this, and I'm like, it's
Yeah.
called a kaboom. Like,
Right.
have that photo right there. That's a
Yeah.
kaboom. Like, what are you doing? And that's really like honestly, being so into photography sometimes frustrates me with cards because
Hmm.
there was times with Panini I was just like, I don't like any of these choices these guys are making, and it would like. My wife says the same. Like, I'll go to an art show and something. She's like, "You just talk negative about everything." And it's like, no, you just when you're really into something, you just have your
Yeah.
very like specific preferences, So it's
It's
like,
it's not negative, it's a critique. Like that's
yeah,
the
yeah,
whole point of it is to what do I like about it, what do I not like about it. That's It's so
exactly.
subjective, and that, to me, that it's fun to do that. I completely understand your wife's perspective because
Yeah,
sometimes I can feel my wife doing that as well.
right.
All right, tell us about this one right here.
I wanted to, I didn't want to have it all male fighters, and I love Amanda Nunez, and like again, that's just a great dynamic
Hmm.
photo. There was actually a John Jones card that I picked that was very similar to this, but I like the Amanda one, and just the fact that she's beating Holly Holm. I don't terribly love the design of 2020 knockout. I do not like at all, but that's just a great card, and
Yeah,
I believe it's on card auto too. So that's
yeah,
another one that
solid all around.
it's weird. Like the the cards where I really like the photography, they're kind of on the very end of my list of like things I'm going after. It's like I
Hmm.
have these like the 2009 set that I'm chasing, and just like rookie cards and stuff. But these are
Yeah,
really like if I have a little bit extra money and I see one up, I'll grab it. But this is a card that I would like to have. I like Amanda, and I think that's a cool photo.
incredible shot. Oh, and speaking of the man, we got to see him get
Yeah.
choked out right here.
And
Yeah.
this one, I mean, I've mentioned this card in videos before. I mean, as an all-time card for me, as I'm like a big Habib fan, I watched this fight live, like, you know, a
Yeah.
lot of people did. And for me, this whole thing was just like the good guy beating the bully, you know, like
Hmm.
Connor had just done so much horrible talking and shit, and just watching like the kid who gets picked on just whoop the bully's ass was just amazing. And this photo, like the way they designed around it, just where, you know, it's on the side, but it leaves enough room for the autograph, and it's just a beautiful card. I have it, you know, my saved searches on eBay, but dude, that thing is expensive. It's not easy
Yeah.
to find for a good price.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. Like you said, this was probably one of my favorite images from this set, and it's so powerful. I mean, we're talking like one of the top three grossing combat sports events of all time, right here. Like
Yep.
probably still the biggest moment in UFC history, in my opinion, as far as just like the hype and the bubble in the moment, and then you have the brawl afterwards. I mean, everything about this photo is just so sick.
And I swear Habib's like whispering some shit in his ear right now too.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. Did you see they had the footage with like in the cage audio,
Oh
and
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was crazy. They were definitely talking in that
Yeah, he's all talk now.
one. Yeah.
So I think the next ones get more into less the action part of it and more just like either personality or just things that I think are really really cool that like involve, you know, that this sport has that other sports don't really have. And
Hmm.
this moment where Jose jumped into the crowd, I
Hmm.
always thought was really cool. I think this is a second year card, but I just thought this was a really unique image that you don't see very often. And I love the old cameras. Like people aren't
Yeah,
holding up phones or holding up like
it
old
dates
school
it for
cameras,
sure.
you know? And I like stuff like that because, you know,
Hmm.
the more the more I'm collecting, the more I'm into the nostalgia of things, and I'm wanting to collect older things. And that's one thing I do like about older cards, like from the 70s and 60s and stuff, is when you see like, you know, the whatever, you know, the old mustaches or like just the
Hmm.
whole look of it. And so I like things that like date it, and the cameras in this really kind of date it as to where, you know, technology took off from this point.
The King of Rio.
Yeah.
Oh, and this one,
Uh,
man, how can you not love this card? Everybody loves this card for good reason.
yeah, yeah. It's funny because I was trying to. Well, yeah, I guess yeah. So I was thinking about this card, and it's funny because Adesanya has two iconic moments that I think would both make amazing cards. Is this one, and then when he does the arrow at
Yeah.
Poetan, and I'm surprised that hasn't become a card. I think maybe there was a Panini Instant or something like that of it, but he's just so just that dude's just so full of personality, and
Hmm.
I just, you know, this fireworks. This was, you know, there was a basketball set this with this design before this, so this was just taking on the basketball set, but it's just like the way they have the space behind him and him doing it. I love this card. I think I have a silver of it. um I'd love to upgrade to, you know, the gold or the, you know, anything would be cool, but again, really hard to find because that's just an iconic one.
All right. What do we got? Oh, we got the boars. Nice.
Yeah, and I wanted to show some love to some of the new stuff because
Hmm.
I mean, as we talk today, I'll probably be a little negative about the new top stuff. But one thing I think they have done, they really are choosing some cool photos that reflect the different personalities of the fighters and stuff like that. And I just thought this was a great Hamzat um, photo. I always think about, like, you know, I always kind of put myself in the photos, and I'm like, dude, if you're standing across from that, you're like,
Yeah.
holy shit, like
Look at this
things are about
psycho.
to get really bad.
Yeah.
Your teeth might be in the back of your throat in about 10 minutes.
Yeah, no
Shit too.
exaggeration, right? Absolutely insane, dude. Insane. And the last one
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, again, this was me kind of wanting to give love to newer stuff. You know, when I was thinking about the different types of photos you have, like I said, you have the actual action shots, you have the, you know, the stuff in the cage before and after the celebrations and the pre-fight, and then you have the studio photos, which is usually a lot of times autographs and things like that. And those are the photos that they take, you know, in the studio before the fights and stuff. And they
Mhm.
tend to be just someone standing there like this, and, you know, I tend to like them. They can be a little boring, but I like the ones where, Shavkat's wearing his hat, like show a little
Yeah.
personality, and Alex Pereira doing that is just really cool. And these Alex and Ginter's, what was it? Alan Ginter.
Hmm.
Um, they had really nice designs. I just thought these were really cool cards. Out of Topps Chrome, this is something that I would collect.
Yeah, I liked what they did with the bordering on these.
Hmm.
With the it's almost like an animated. It to me it doesn't look. They did something weird where it's not necessarily CG. It looks more like painterly, or they did. You know what I mean? The shading.
Yeah, yeah. It doesn't look like a
It's
real
not
photo.
real. Yeah, it's not realism, and I thought that was a good touch, especially with the banner. It made it,
Yeah,
kind of like a Arthurian legend or something. Like an old the little banner carrying it to war, something weird. I thought this was a fun card as well, so I'm glad this one was included.
yeah,
But
yeah, for sure.
but awesome there. Thanks for taking us through that. Thanks for collecting all those images too, Joe.
No problem, man.
All right, you mentioned it in here. You were talking about you collecting, the vintage. You're into UFC, round one, 2009 stuff. So, what are you collecting now, and how have your views on collecting and like what you collect changed over time?
Man, that's a big. It feels pretty dramatic. I guess, I don't know. It's weird. It doesn't feel like it happens so fast, but I'm definitely just a totally different collector. I feel like I've seen it with you guys too, with you and Damien. Um, the more you do this, the more I think you just realize what you like, and you're just like, why am I doing any of this other shit if I don't really
Hmm.
like it? So it was kind of like that with me. Like, I just started realizing, like, man, I really enjoy. I was never a big set collector,
Hmm.
but since I've started this project, going after round one. Well, let me talk about what I'm doing. Um, for those who don't know, I guess it was 2 or 3 years ago, a viewer of the channel sent me some round one, 2009 round one cards. Sent me a Anderson Silva, Brock Lesnar. I think there was one more, some other, maybe Cain Velasquez or something like that. And he told me the whole story behind it, how it's the first set. Basically, everyone's in there as rookie cards. They're really hard to grade and all this stuff. And he sent them to me, and I'd been sending out stuff to PSA, and I was like, I'll try get them graded, see how they do. And they came back PSA nines, and then I looked up how rare that is, and like there was like pop three, pop two.
Yeah,
I mean,
it's
they're
insane.
so hard to get PSA nines, and I was like, wow, that's pretty cool. And so it just got in my head, like, I don't want to do a whole set of round one. It's a pretty big checklist, but the fact that there's so many Hall of Famers that have rookies in that set, I was like, how about I try to get PSA nines of all the Hall of Famers in round one and grade them myself. So that's the thing, is I'm trying
Mm.
not to buy them from other people who grade them, which I actually kind of cheated on that a little bit, because it's daunting, man. Like,
Yeah.
I send in 15 to 20 of them, and I'm lucky if I get one. Like,
Mm.
lucky. It's not easy. You get a ton of eights, but
Yeah.
nines are just really, really hard. And we've opened packs. Me and Luke MMA, we're kind of both really into doing this. And you open packs, like, these things have been really taken care of, and they come right out of the box looking like they
Yeah.
were cut with a butter knife. I mean, they're just really in bad shape. So it's been a really fun thing for me. Like, I didn't realize how much the chase of something like that is really, like, kind of enjoyable, and none of
Right.
this is worth a ton of money. I mean, the
Mhm.
Rogan, the Anderson Silva, the GSP, those are in the 200-300 bucks. But for the most part, even Dan Henderson, a lot of these guys who are really, really important fighters, their
Right.
cards, even if you get a PSA nine's worth $100. It's nothing crazy, but the challenge of it is really fun. So that's really what I've been doing. And honestly, Chicken One of One has really helped too, because he's been buying cases, not case. Well, he did buy a case, but he's been buying boxes of this stuff, which is really hard to find. He's going all over
Hmm.
the country to find these, and he just thinks it's fun to open them. And then when he opens boxes, he'll send me packs so I can open them on my channel, which I enjoy opening that stuff way more than anything new. Which, again, it's
Yeah.
another thing that I've kind of realized recently. It's like, I enjoy opening older cards way more than I enjoy opening newer cards, and I don't know what it really has to do with. There is a simplicity to older stuff, not as many parallels, not as many things, round one's really, really fun because the checklist isn't huge. And like I said, every pack you get pretty much a rookie card for a Hall of Famer. You do have a really good chance in an autograph. I think every 5 or 6 packs have an autograph. The autographs are
Hmm.
very valuable. The silvers and the golds. If you get a silver Joe Rogan, you're talking about a $1,500 card. Stuff like that. You just have really good odds. Whereas, like,
Right.
I open up Topps Chrome and feels like I get nothing at all. So
Yeah.
um, that whole thing has been really fun for me, and so that's really all I've been doing. I've been buying the singles, and that's the other cool thing is you can buy the singles of round one really cheaply. $5 to $10 for these guys. Again, it's base cards, but that's fine. I'm really trying to find ways to, when I first started the channel, I was spending thousands on cards. And,
Yeah.
as time goes on, first of all, I started realizing that this isn't a great investment in general. Like, a lot of the cards I thought were going to be worth a fortune at some point just aren't going to be.
Right.
Um, I've been doing this since 2021 Prism. I think you started not too long after. And just watching you and Damien do your thing, like, you guys try to sell cards around the fights. I used to think that would be, oh, you sell it right before the fight, you're going to get 3 times. Like, no, it doesn't
Mhm.
work like that. It's really hard to make money doing this.
Yeah, man.
So it's gotten to the point where this is just a love thing for me. Like, it's,
Mhm.
like, I have a bunch of PSA cards coming back that are all round one, and if I get a 9, I'm going to be ecstatic, and it's not because I'm going to sell it, it's because I want to keep it. And that's been a big change. I think when I first started the channel, a lot of the stuff I was talking about was flipping and making money
Mhm.
and all that. And it's way more like a passion project now. And I really enjoy it. I'm happier now doing what I'm doing than I was back then. Um, I did like the idea when I first started of flipping cards to pay for this type of stuff. And I do that, but I don't do it with UFC cards anymore. I think flipping UFC cards is too hard. Um,
What
because
are you
of the
doing? What are you doing now? Do you want to give us?
Yeah, I can kind of give you so other sports are seasonal, and that
Mhm.
makes it way easier to invest in them. So perfect example right now is the baseball season and just ended. Baseball cards are going to be at their lowest point right now. So you buy anybody you think will be hyped before the season starts, and you have about a 6 months runway to get those cards graded and then sell them. So you're not only are you getting whatever money you'll make by getting them graded and hopefully getting a good grade. If you buy a card now, it's going to go up 20-30% because no one's into baseball right
Yeah, it's
now.
just
And
low.
right before spring training, everyone's going to be in baseball. So that's really the way I do it is I'll do it with football. Basketball doesn't do that well, but football and baseball do really well. And so I just pick like 5 or 6 cards, and I usually buy around 50 to 75 bucks, and you get a PSA 10. I pick cards that like have cool color matches or cool photos, things I think people would be
Yeah.
interested in. And you can usually triple your money, and I use that money to buy round one packs or
Hmm.
singles of Hoist Gracie, who I cannot seem to get better than a PSA 7 of. Um, but so that that's a general plan, and it's just kind of same thing. It's just kind of fun. I'm not trying to really make any money or anything like that. I'm just trying to, like, I always do that spreadsheet at the end of the year and see where I'm
Right.
at. And I actually just did mine. I did really good this year because I didn't buy
Nice,
barely anything. I think I'm up like 500 bucks right now, and for me that's great because back in the day it was like I was down
dude.
2,000, 3,000 at the end of
Especially
the year.
especially buying when you're buying a lot of products and a lot of boxes.
Yeah,
Like the bottom on those, from experience, can be so bad. So that's good to
yeah,
hear that you're out there flipping and making some money with the other sports. The PSA 10 getting 3x value is interesting because you hardly don't see that within UFC at all. So it's cool that the
yeah.
other sports kind of respect that more from a selling standpoint, anyway.
I don't know if you've dealt with other sports, but it is kind of eye opening. Like, not only like your grades jump the price way more, selling is like a million times easier.
Yeah,
Like, and I do have my ear to, like, I'm listening to sports radio and stuff like that. Like, so I know, like, okay, Jackson Churio had a great year in baseball, but he didn't make it into the playoffs, so people kind of sleeping on him. But once baseball season's about to start, people are going to get excited about him again. So I'm thinking about things like that. But I'll try to sell a baseball card, and I'll get the views is like
Yeah.
hundreds, whereas
Wow.
a
Okay.
UFC card you're getting 25,
Yeah.
15, something like that. So it's just really easy to sell, especially once they're slabbed up.
Hmm.
Even PSA 9s aren't hard to sell, and you usually break even around with those. But I am pretty good with gauging grading. Well, I say that, but you never know with PSA.
Yeah.
um, Funny PSA story. I'll give you this real quick. Um, I told you off camera, but right now I'm presently looking for a new job. My work at Ruka is kind of probably coming to an end, and PSA is right down the road from here. It's about 20 minutes away. So I was thinking, like, man, I wouldn't mind getting involved in like the card world. So I looked to see if they had availability for graders, card graders,
Hmm.
and they did. They had job openings for card graders. They make minimum wage. Like you make as much working at McDonald's as a card grader.
Well,
I
there you
was like,
go. We
no
wonder
wonder.
why. Yeah, we wonder why. Well, there you go.
Yeah, these guys can barely like buy dinner. That's
Uh-huh.
why they're frustrated.
7, 6,
Yeah.
10. Like who cares? I'm trying to go home.
I guess like once I realized, I was like, they're grading 1 million cards a
Yeah.
month. That's why they're probably they have 1 million people doing this. So I was tripping on that. I was like, wow, I had no idea that graders make that little. I think you build up. I'm sure as a senior grader, you make more than that. But yeah, the bottom is straight minimum wage.
Oof. Ouch, man. Well, you're into the other sports, flipping, trying to get round one.
Mhm.
What do you think about the products that we're getting right now? We've only had Tops back for like what 8 or 9 months. It hasn't almost been a year. So, what are some of the things that you've enjoyed about the new products, about Tops in general being back, and what are some things that you don't like that maybe you'd want to change with them?
Yeah, it's funny. Like I was thinking about this, and I I like a lot of things Topps is doing, but I find myself not collecting any of the new cards. And there's a few reasons there. Obviously, the rookie class is not fantastic this year at all. I keep thinking back to the last few years. What was my favorite year collecting? And honestly, it was 2022.
Yeah.
Um, I feel like the Panini products were really good. The rookie class was really good. It was really fun to open that stuff, even though that all that stuff was a little more expensive. I enjoyed opening it more than some of the newer stuff. Um, I thought Chrome was good. I liked what they did with Chrome. I think one thing Panini's lacking in is the SPPs, SSPs. That's what it is. Yeah. Panini was just better at that, and it's hard to say that if they were better because there's a history with kabooms and downtowns and stuff
Right.
like that. Tops doesn't really have that history, so they're trying to figure out like what people are going to get excited for. But all the ones they've made so far, I haven't been super into. The hidden gems, Um, and it's funny. Some of the ones that they made that aren't as short printed, I'm like, oh, I really like that one, but it's not. It's easier to hit.
Right.
So it's the certain things that I liked, I wish were harder to hit. Um, I do like that they did on card autos in Knockout, but one thing it didn't really occur to me, but on card autos are really hard to grade. I mean, you have
Hmm.
these fighters touching these things that just don't care. So you're getting them back and they're bashed up. And as somebody who likes grading, that kind of turns me off. So a
Okay.
lot of the knockout cards that I did see that I liked, I looked at the photos and I'm like, man, those things are so beat up and I don't want a PSA 7. So that was something I hadn't considered. What else have they done? The Midnight set didn't do anything for me. I didn't understand it. I didn't understand the connection between that and fighting. I am
Hmm.
somebody who thinks, the card should reflect the sport. And if it's something completely out there, I just don't see a point to it. Maybe as an insert set, that's kind of cool, but as a
Yeah.
full complete set, I didn't really get it. Um, Kind of the same thing with the gold label. There's cards I see that I like, but I don't understand the whole gold thing. It just seems like another reason to make a new set. The levels don't make any sense to me at all because they don't
Yeah.
seem to change at all. I do wish, like with their parallels, I guess with Chrome it wasn't that bad, but I really love like 2018 Chrome because the reds and the greens and the blue, they're all integrated into the photo and it just screams that's a red or whatever. It
Yeah.
feels like a lot of the stuff they're doing now is just the outline, the writing is in red, and it's
Hmm.
just not a dramatic enough change. So I wish they would fix that. Um, trying to think. I mean, they did a good job with getting like Kayla Harrison and MVP and a few new
Hmm.
rookies. So I do like, that each set could have a couple new rookies. I mean, in general, I sound like an old man shouting from his yard, but I wish there was simpler, just less parallels, smaller checklists, stuff like that. But I get it. It's a business. They're trying to sell a lot of these. And so much of this stuff now is fueled by breaking that they
Yeah.
just have to make things bigger. There's no way around it. It's their bottom line. And I watch chicken stuff, and there's a ton of people that are really into this stuff. So it's I'm kind of the outlier. It seems like people really love it. I do wonder, like after 6 months, are the people that were really into Chrome, are they still into their Chrome cards now, or is it just the hype of when it came out?
Right.
So that's where I'm at, and I wish I was more excited about it, but it's also the reason, like, as we were just discussing, the fact that I didn't buy any boxes this year, I'm in much better financial situation
Yeah,
to
man.
buy the things that I do want to buy. And so I'm not sad that I didn't, I got lucky. With Chrome, I did a little, I don't know what you call it, promotion for, what was the name of that card, Midwest Cards, and so they gave me a free box of Chrome if I made some videos for them. That was
Nice.
the first time I've ever been kind of sponsored. So my Chrome box was free, and then I didn't want to buy Midnight, so I saved all the money there. And then Knockout, I was excited about, but I was just really broke. And Luke from Luke MMA, he just had a case of them, and he's like, "I'm going to send you a box," which was
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, that's
So I got
awesome.
the. It's good he did that too, because I didn't get shit in that box. I mean, I got
Yeah.
smoked. So Knockout was a weird one because I was really excited for Knockout, and I thought the checklist was pretty tight. I thought you would have a lot of hits, but I watched a lot of people get burned on those boxes.
Yeah.
So
I didn't do great on those either,
yeah, I saw
especially at
very
that
few
price
people
point.
yeah. So and then Gold Label, which I guess we can talk about a little bit. The Art of Fighting, I really like how those cards look, but the
Uh,
fact that everything's gold kind of throws me off. Like,
hmm.
I'm a big gold fan, but if
Yeah.
everything's gold, it's like, it's something I teach my kid. Like, you don't want to eat candy all the time. Like, you're not gonna like candy if everything's made of candy. So
Yeah.
it's kind of the same thing. It was just the fact that everything's gold and there's a lot of confetti in the air. A lot of it
Hmm.
feels like New Year's Eve kind of to me.
That's
Um,
actually a great comp. I didn't think about that.
So it's just one of those things, and I'm not trying to be judgmental. Like that's why I'm not like making videos ripping these things apart, because there's people that like it, and it's cool for you if you do. But my dream right now would be to open a 2013 finest box, and those are really expensive. So I'd rather save up $800, $700, and open one of those than open two. Oh no, I guess it would be like 4 gold label boxes or something like that. So that's what I really want to do. Is I kind of want to just open the products that I like, and if they're really rare and hard to find, then try to save up to do it and give myself a thrill to do that.
Nice. So we touched on it briefly there, just kind of about price points on products. I know you were opening stuff in 2021 when it was like absolutely insane prices.
Yeah.
Just to kind of give you a rundown on the pricing from this year, we had Chrome at 219, Midnight 300, Knockout 279, Gold Label 125.99, and that's all like from Topps website.
Mhm.
So like, what do you think is the right price point for them to give to us, the consumer, to where it would like entice somebody that's like you're a perfect example. That's like, I'm not really into this.
Yeah.
The price point is a huge barrier, and is honestly, a great way to just be like, I'm gonna be completely off, especially if you're not in love with the designs. So what do you think is kind of the price point that they should be working towards with these?
Topps is doing. That was one thing I should have mentioned with Topps. Topps is doing much better pricing. I just looked. Prism Football just came out from Panini, and it's $900 a box. So they're not like going down. Like, it's
Dude,
still like crazy.
those other sports are just insane,
But
man.
and then that's what I bought 2021 Prism for. I split it with
Yeah.
my buddy, but it was
Hmm.
it was $900 a box. And it's funny because my financial situation has kind of come down as prices have come down. So even though like prices are good now, I have less money than I had 2 years ago. So it's kind of like worked out where I'm like, they're still kind of expensive, but I think it's in a good spot. I think the problem with UFC is that it doesn't hold value as much as some of the other sports do. I think as a new product comes out, you will see like the prices dip pretty fast, whereas it's not as dramatic in the other sports. So like Chrome, I thought was priced well, but like you look at Chrome prices now, singles prices, they're not fantastic, other than
Hmm.
Diego Lopes or Shara, something like that. So I think also we got to give Topps a break because this is their first year. They're kind of figuring out as well. I think Panini was kind of the same thing. Is like they put those boxes out in the beginning. They're like, we don't know what UFC people are going to pay for these,
Right.
so let's just put them out and see what happens. So I think they'll figure it out as they go. But for me, if I have the cash and I really like a box, 200 isn't bad. Is if you're getting back the value, it's all about singles
Right.
value and stuff like that. It's also really hard to gauge this year because of the rookie class.
Dude, that's everything.
It really, I didn't realize how dramatic it would be, but then you see there's just no one really to chase this year. And that's another thing I can say about a difference between myself now and before is I don't prospect anymore.
Smart man.
UFC prospecting is a bad idea.
Yeah.
uh, and that was partly me. It's not just learning about UFC cards, but I'd been watching UFC for a really long time. But this is the first time I've watched really prelims and that type of stuff. Before I got into the cards, I was just watching the main events and even usually just the very main event, not even the
Yeah.
pre fights to those. So I've just been learning that it just takes one fight. It's a fist fight. Like you never know what's going to happen. You could be the people that bet on UFC. Same thing. I'm like, you guys are
Yeah.
crazy. Like anything can happen. Like
Matt, we're talking about
injury,
you.
cut. Yeah, dude. So and he actually does really well. He's pretty
Yeah,
smart
he
with it,
does.
but it's still like I saw some guy that was like he was selling a bet that he had that Colby Covington was going to win that Joaquin Buckley fight. And even if Colby Covington fought amazing, you get a cut on your eye like that, you're done. Like you
Yeah.
can't continue fighting. You're bleeding out. So that type of stuff is nuts to me. And so I feel like prospecting kind of runs that same gamut. You can feel like somebody's unbeatable, and then anything can happen. So my whole idea with fighting. So like right now, I really do like Diego Lopes. I think he's a great fighter, but I would rather wait until he's had like a 5-fight losing
Yeah.
streak. It's like it's buying when these guys are doing well is never really smart. And like guys I collect are also guys I've photographed. So that's another big
Hmm.
part of my collection. And so like Jalen, um, he had a couple losses, and like I was buying him when he was winning because that's when I met him and stuff like that.
Hmm.
And now his prices have come way down, and I'm like, man, like he's a dope guy. He's really good, but I don't know how serious of a fighter he is. He tends to have a lot of other things going on, and it's hard to even see him like wanting to be champion because he just I think he does it because he's really good at it, but I don't know that he has the full love for it. And so I still want to collect his cards, but I'm like, maybe he retires and I can get these for really cheap. I could probably get
Yeah.
his one of one, So it's like
Hmm.
the whole idea of prospecting for me is like, I would just wait till they retire, even if they're the greatest fighter on earth. Like, you see champs, they retire, and once they're out of the limelight for a little while, their prices dip. So, it doesn't make a lot of sense for me for prospecting. So that's where I'm at with that. I used to think that kind of like, like you guys would say, you would, find this fighter that no one knows and like buy right before his fight, and then he wins, and then you can sell him and triple your money and all that. And I'm sure it works out a little bit. I did see it with like even Ilya, like guys that have kind of come up since I've watched. Ilya was really expensive when he started. His cards came out, like
Almost every single rookie is. It's the same story. Same
yeah,
story every time. Like there very, very rarely are these rookies even worth buying in because none of them are. You're not buying in low on anybody
yeah,
nowadays. It's like
yeah,
you're buying in with the baked in price of them being a 3-time champion already. Like Bo, Hamzat was like that.
yep,
And even if these guys go on to do that, like there's no room for their prices to continue to go up. So I
yeah.
love that you're talking about this. What what other tips do you have for newer collectors or just collectors in general? Maybe experiences that you went through that kind of helped you along your journey.
Oh, that's a good question. Hold on a second. Retail. I don't believe in retail
Okay, that's
product
good.
packs. Um, a lot of times you can go. It depend. I guess it depends on where you are. But if you have a local card shop, you can buy packs of hobby boxes, and I think that's a better value than buying retail. Um, Everybody just wants it because they see it at Target, but for the most
Yeah.
part, that stuff is just, you may as well just light your money on fire. So I don't really believe in retail products. I like hobby products. What else? I mentioned the prospecting thing. That's kind of how I
Yep.
feel now. You know, give your and just collect guys you really like. I mean, I think I don't think I used to think that UFC was a good product to invest in, but I don't really believe that anymore. I do believe the very, very cream of the crop will be worth money in the future. And this isn't very specific to UFC too. I've been, because I've been buying so many like older products, I think it's kind of given me a big picture
Hmm.
thing. It's like, I'm buying 2011, 2013 finest and stuff. And there was guys that were champs back then, and their cards are worth $1 now.
Yeah.
Tyron Woodley, or
Yep.
these guys are just forgettable champs. And I mean, they literally reached the pinnacle of the sport. And you have the same thing in basketball. I think of 2009 uh, basketball. You have, I think, 50 rookies in that or something like that. There's only two of them that are worth anything, and that's Steph
Mm.
Curry and James Harden. All the rest of them are completely forgettable.
Yeah.
So, as you pull back, you have to realize like all these guys that you're really excited about right now probably aren't going to amount to much. So, unless you have a really personal connection to them, there's, it's, um, you end up with piles of cards at your house, and you're like, what am I doing with all these? And I think that's what I've been doing lately. And I think a lot of like card collectors like you and Damien, I don't, Matt just has a lot of cards, but I think a lot of us are kind of like looking at this stuff going like, I'd much rather have one dream card than these 300 cards sitting on my desk. So, um, you know, but that being said, there's people that still collect sets and stuff like that, and just do whatever makes you enjoy this. I mean, it is really fun. I'm trying not to be negative, because like I said, I'm not like negative about the hobby. I'm very particular about what I want to do from here on out, and it's really enjoyable, but it doesn't involve with opening a lot of packs or buying a
Yeah.
lot of rookies or that type of stuff.
Yeah, you correct me if I'm wrong. What I'm kind of hearing is like you're much more your mindset has shifted from like trying to prospect, trying to flip, and more to
Mhm.
just like buying things you like to collect. And is that
Mhm.
kind of just to
Yeah,
boil it down, kind of how you're feeling?
it's funny. It feels like the more mature, like it kind of reminds me of the guys like when I first started. There was the older guys that were collecting 2009s and stuff like that, and they kind of were like that. Because back
Yeah.
then the cards weren't worth anything, so they just really liked the fighters and stuff like that. And I think I've gotten more into that mindset. And yeah, you pretty much summed it up. Like it's more of just like a love, and we can talk about my channel a little bit too, and it has to do with that. And a big part of my channel, I think this has been said before, but I think Matt always talks about it. When Matt and I started our channels, there was not much. It was just Macy Collectibles, and that's it. So we did ours, and then like a bunch of you guys have come in. You got you and Damien, and UFC Card Fiend, like all these different people, and they're making really, really cool shit. Like you guys, like you and Damien's collaborations, like that's perfect. That's exactly what I want to watch with card collecting. Like I love like your guys' dynamic and the things you talk about and the way you answer questions and the trash sell hold, all that stuff is perfect. So since that's gone down, or since you guys started making stuff like that, I just don't feel the need as much to make videos about like, Tops versus Panini and,
Yeah.
those type of videos. So like for me, it's like, okay, like what do I want to do now? Because as you know, this is a lot of work. It's really hard to make these videos. And
Yes.
I do have a lot of other things happening in my life. So it's not like I can really take a lot of time to do it. So I'm like, if I'm going to do this, I'm just going to make videos that I want to make. And the videos I enjoy making are, I enjoy grading. So I like making the PSA reveal videos. When I can get my hands on old product, I enjoy opening old product. And here and there, maybe like some interesting point that I don't think anybody's making. But my stuff is much more like, I'd be perfectly happy with my YouTube channel just being that, you know, one video a month of just something that I enjoy doing, and hopefully everybody likes doing it. I mean, I never really thought of it that way either. You know, it was always supposed to be just what I enjoyed doing. So,
Right.
So, you know, my card philosophy has kind of been like going in the same direction as my YouTube channel, where it's like, that's why you guys haven't seen me so much. I'm just, you know, I knew I wanted to make a round one video. That was like something I worked on for a while, and I had to save up to get the packs. And I wanted to talk about, you know, the importance, I think, of the cards and all that stuff. And, you know, if something else comes along that I think about that I could do, I would like to do it. There's other sets that I would love to do. You know, the other ones that I do like, I've mentioned them a few times. I really like 2011 Finest, 13 Finest. I like 2012 Bloodlines, but God, that's expensive stuff. Oh my God.
Yeah.
It's funny because these are all boxes. Like if I had $1 billion, I'd be opening those all the time, you know? So, but I'd just be happy to get my hands on some packs. One thing I will mention that doesn't get talked about much, but the fact that I do like opening old packs, and the old packs are really expensive, I am getting a little nervous about CT scanning.
Yeah.
You know, that's really where CT scanning is a problem, is that like, if you're buying a pack, you know, let's say I buy 3 or 4 packs for $400, $500, it'd be pretty smart of that person to send it to a CT scan place before they sell it to me. And I have no idea if that's the case. And so that makes me a little nervous. I'm hoping people aren't doing it this price point yet, but if it gets more available, it might be a problem. And with those old packs, you can't buy them from Tops. You can't buy them you have to buy them secondhand. So you have no idea what people are doing with these things. So that makes me a little nervous, but we'll see.
Well, awesome, man. Thanks for the channel update. You know, I know everyone watching, and myself included, we'd love to see your videos, and you're a huge reason why, you know, I saw your videos and was like, this guy, his production is on point. This is like what I want to do. This is what I want to see. And I know a lot of us feel the same way about that. So thanks for coming on, Joe. This has been awesome, dude. The hour has flown by just like that. But thanks for letting me kind of pick your brain, talk about some awesome images, talk about what you're doing now, talk about some of your favorite cards. And thanks for coming on.
Oh, thank you, dude. And I think it's been mentioned before, but we really need to make it happen. Like at some point, all the content creators and all the people out there, we got to get some sort of get together. It'd be so sick that we all, you know, maybe we all gather for a UFC fight or something like that. But you know, if everybody could come to a consensus, that would be pretty amazing. It'd be cool to meet everybody in person.
That would be wild. Maybe like a fight and like a card show, if that ever correlates together.
Right.
And we could get a group. That'd be fun.
I feel like there was one in Vegas. I feel like the UFC Card Father was that one that was like, I remember thinking that. I was like, damn, there's probably a lot of UFC. Oh, you know what? It was here. It was at Anaheim. He was at the Burbank Card Show, and there was a fight in Anaheim that weekend. And that actually would have been a perfect one. Maybe if we see that happen again, we all go for it.
We'll blow the horn of Gondor, and everyone will come.
Come on, come all.
Thanks again, brother.
No worries. Thank you, man.